our next project, I'm starting off with a brown oil pastel. If you don't have an oil pastel, you can use a brown crayon. I'm going to use two different colors of brown, and I'm going to just turn my paper upside down and draw another tree, starting with my trunk, getting skinnier as I go to the top, and then adding branches that come off of that trunk, getting smaller and smaller, with little diagonal lines in the shape of V's attached to that trunk. So again, thick to thin for the branches, as well as the little stems coming off the branches, and then trunk again, thick to thin. So once I have that drawn, I just start shading it in with some different browns and my oil pastels. And a really cool trick to do is to take some oil and a little paintbrush and go over top of your drawing, and it will blend those oil pastels and make it look very much like thick paint. I did that at the end, which you will see in a minute, and that way all of those little white spots of your paper get covered up and you don't have to rub your finger over your paper. Instead, you can just use a thin paintbrush and some oil. You can use baby oil, you can use vegetable oil, olive oil, whatever you have on hand. Once I had finished painting over top of the oil pastels with my vegetable oil, I was ready to paint the background. And since it's oil pastels, you do not have to worry about covering up your tree trunks and the branches with your background color. You can just paint right over top. So I did again some really cool colors to imitate a winter sky, and I painted the entire background. Once I was done with that, I will add the snow. Now it's time to add the snow. So I'm just painting a snowy bank at the bottom of my paper with my acrylic paint. But again, you can use whatever you have on hand. If you happen to have tempera paint, poster paint, anything like that, you can use. I am using acrylic just because that's what I had available. And I'm just doing a very uneven line, tapping the paint pretty thickly onto the paper to make sure it covers up the background color. Then I'm going to take a brush and really lightly add some snow that got caught in the branches. So make sure you're looking at the branches and adding the snow just to the tops. Doesn't have to be to every branch, and into the little V areas where the snow would collect. If you have looked outside recently, you would have good examples of that, as we have had several opportunities to see some snow on our tree branches. What a blessing that is. So make sure you just tap little bits of thin. Don't go too thick with your lines. Don't press your brush too hard and flatten out your bristles. Just keep them on their toes, and you can add lots of little snowy places on your branches. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add some snow by just dipping my paintbrush in the white acrylic paint and adding it. I'm going to use the back side of my paintbrush this time and make little smaller dots of white paint all throughout my composition.